Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm really excited to dive in, and I wanted to kick it off with just a few little reminders before we start the session. If you have any questions, drop them into the chat, and we've got a few lovely team members who'll be fielding those. We'd love to hear who's on the call, so feel free to pop in your favorite cuisine or meal. Obviously, we're all foodies here, so yeah. I am going to, first introduce myself. So my name's Narelle, to those of you who haven't met me before. I'm a mum of three, and I also run a small business with my husband. So I do know firsthand how, as a business owner, you truly have to wear all the hats, stay on top of everything, and I can certainly relate. So I also work full-time for HHM Group, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer, COO for short. And I guess my passion is just helping people keep money in their pocket and simplifying things for them because it's hard enough. So this is what fills my cup, and I've spent the last 15 years scaling businesses, working across hospitality for the last 10. And I guess my focus is I turn sort of a strategy or things that in premise are thought out and then turn them into execution to help actually solve real problems. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be walking you through a problem, or I suppose a solution, or a better way to look at something. And it's pretty focused on one topic. And the topic is owning your channel. We'll go into what that means as we kick the session off. But over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to take you through a few scenarios or a few numbers rather that you may not look at every day. And so looking at it in this session and hopefully arming you with the tools to be able to walk away, to make those calculations, or at least take something from it to adopt into your day-to-day is what the goal is. And I'm going to focus today on basically fees, not commission rates that you see on your invoice, but really trying to capture the total cost of channel management, I suppose, and what that actually looks like. So it's not just your commission, it's add-on fees, it's the lost opportunity cost, and so on and so forth. So what I'd like for you to be sitting with at the end of this session is a great understanding of basically where platforms sit. And I think it's really important to highlight as well that there are lots of platforms that are used for different things, and third-party platforms like Uber, DoorDash, and any sort of marketplaces are really critical in driving growth and getting new customers acquired to your business. So I want to make that super clear as part of this session, where we take you through sort of the more detailed channel management rails. But basically, we want you to sit with a question. If a platform has brought you a customer once, who actually owns that relationship? And really going down to the detail on whether you do or the platform does. Because to be honest, the most honest answer that I have is, for most venues, it's probably the platform. And each of those platforms has a price tag, and it's spread across so many different line items that you probably miss the total in itself. So we're going to help you add it up. We're going to cover 4 things today. Number 1 is the invisible cost, what happens or what you're actually paying in commission and fees. Number 2 is the invisible cost, what happens to your customer data and why that matters more than people think. Number 3, how these costs actually compound over time, not just by the transaction. And then the one that I'm most excited about, what it actually looks like to own your channel. And it's not as hard as it looks. So we're going to walk you through it. We'll start with the numbers. So first off, we're going to start with the numbers that are actually on your invoice. This is what we call the visible cost. What you can see here is, I guess, a breakdown, a commission breakdown, and every venue owner typically knows what their headline commission rate is for the use of the platforms, whether that be a delivery marketplace or a bookings or reservations platform. And typically it sits anywhere in the high teens to high 20s per order. Bookings or reservations may run lower on the surface, but sometimes there's actually layered costs that you may not see all the time, including marketing placement fees, and premium visibility upsells, so that rate actually creeps up pretty fast. But that's the thing about a commission rate. It's not a percentage of revenue. It's a percentage of it's a percentage of revenue, not a percentage of profit. And so that does matter enormously when you're adding up all of your margins and if you're taking into account your business running costs. So we're going to do a pretty simple napkin maths exercise. Let's say you're running your food costs at 30%, or your food costs are running at 30%, and your labor costs are running at 30%. That leaves you with roughly 40 points of margin for everything else. So if the platform is taking 25% of that, it's not taking 25% of your profit. It's taking over half of it. And on a lot of menu items, that platform order can actually be close to break even. Sometimes even worse if you account for all packaging costs, prep time, driver delays, or wait times at the counter. So it's a pretty high cost. The second part is stacking on the secondary fees that are not visible on the invoice. So if there's any payment and processing fees, they're usually higher. Any marketing or boost fees. So this is so that you can appear higher in the search results, and they are options that you need to take if you want to remain visible. You've got photography, menu management, and premium listing fees as well, which also start to add up. And the last two are around chargebacks and dispute handling. So the platform will default to a response a lot of the time where the customer is favored. And finally, if in hospitality specifically, commission on booking guests that book through a listing once typically get tracked as part of the platform's booking, or them bringing in that customer as part of the platform booking. So the last one definitely catches people off guard. I think some reservations platforms will count a guest as theirs, for a year or more, even after their original booking, meaning that if the guest still does call you next time, but you don't have a system to recognize them, you might still be paying commission for those. So it's definitely something to look into as well. We're going to put some numbers on it, or a number on it. So if we're looking at a mid-sized restaurant doing $60,000 a month through a delivery marketplace, and there's a blended commission rate, if you're incorporating this set fee plus any of the other additional fees for premium listings, offers, etc., let's say it's 28%. It's basically sending $16,800 a month in fees to the platform if the venue is sending that much in fees to the platform, and that compounds to $200,000 per year. That is basically the platform's revenue that used to be entirely yours, or the venues. So if you run that same maths across 2 or 3 platforms, which most venues would run more than one, you start to see those numbers really rival that of a cost of a senior staff member's annual salary, and you're paying this every single year indefinitely for as long as that flow continues in that way. None of this makes the platforms bad. So as I said at the start of the call, they absolutely solve a real problem, and where they're placed is really in that discovery area. So when a new customer has not heard of you before, getting those customers to order from you so that you can obviously remarket to those customers and have them come back to order from your venue. It's effectively, the question isn't should you use them, it's whether you should be paying the same price for every order forever. Because for most of your loyal regulars, you've already paid that cost once. So what is it that you actually should be paying for from the platform versus what should the cost look like for you if that customer is to be a repeat customer? We're going to talk about the cost that never shows up on the invoice now as well. So what actually happens to a customer after they've ordered from your venue from a third party? So we're not going to estimate it. We're going to give you real data based on our own research of our own customer base. So when we measured it across 2.89 million real Uber Eats orders, 1.15 million customers, 12 months worth of data, and they all had keyed in IDs. Here's essentially what we found. After a customer's first Uber order, about 34% of those reorder through Uber. 65% of those didn't come back to the same store again at all, and about 1% of them were crossed to a direct channel. So basically converted to a direct channel for a venue. Only 1%. So effectively, they're staying inside Uber and at a 30-to-1 ratio. And that organic crossover, it has to be built. It's not something that will happen on its own. And that's something that we are really passionate about educating our venues on. If we look at the actual order distribution, about 65% of the customers placing one order with the venue and then they're gone. And this is actually on par with the industry benchmark, where about 70% of first-time diners don't actually return to the same venue. And about 1.9% are your actual regulars, your people who are ordering 10 plus more orders per year, actually account for about 15% of your whole Uber volume. So these are your most valuable customers, and every single one of them is building that loyalty inside a different ecosystem. It's not yours. You can't reach them. You don't necessarily know who they are, outside of a few details, which we'll get into. Uber, as the example, does. And here's why this matters so much. You're not just losing the customer, you're losing the most profitable customers that you have, and that 15% repeatable orders that are coming through from those people. And you're paying a platform a commission, a really high commission, every time they come back to the marketplace to order. And that is effectively the scale of what's at stake. So that leads into the next part, which is the invisible cost, as we call it, and that's your customer data. So this isn't something that will show up on your monthly statement. It's actually the part that matters the most long term. And if we think about it over a 5-year horizon, what happens to the customer relationship is really critical. If somebody orders through a third party or books through a third party reservations platform, think about what you would actually receive in terms of info versus what they would receive. You would typically get a name, an order, maybe a partial phone number, and a delivery time or arrival time. The platform actually gets a lot more data. So they'll have full contact details, order history, frequency of orders, average spend, any patterns of ordering, dietary preferences, any cancellation behavior, and the most critical one is the ability to remarket that person into their competitive listings the next time they open up that app. Let that sink in for a second, because you actually did the work. You've made the food, you've ran the service, you've earned the review and the feedback, and the platform actually owns the data set that then they build on from that experience. And they can actually introduce that customer back to a restaurant 3 doors down next time they're hungry, as opposed to you. This is the core asymmetry of the third-party model, and you're effectively renting access to a customer relationship that the platform owns outright. And so that's why we're talking about this topic today. If their commission is the tip of the iceberg in terms of the cost, the data is the much larger mass that's underneath, and we wanted to break that down in a little bit more detail for you. Number one, you can't build a direct marketing listing from the third-party app providers. You don't get emails a lot of the time. There's no SMS opt-ins in most cases, and there's no way to actually communicate with the customers about new menu items, promotions, private events, anything that needs filling. And every single engagement has to go back through the platform and be paid for again at the same cost a lot of the time, and or on separate ad products as well. Number two, you can't actually personalize the relationship. So you don't know if the customer orders before people on Friday night, if they're gluten-free, any of those sort of key details that you would know from a repeat in-store regular. Your own staff, your own systems could definitely recognize this and make them feel that they're remembered and recognized, as opposed to just a barcode on an order that gets sent through. The third one, you lose the ability to, I suppose, recover a bad experience. Typically, if an order goes wrong, an individual or a customer would reach out to the platform and not you, because that's who they believe they've transacted with. You may actually never find out if guests are unhappy or have the chance to make it right, because a lot of that detail is sometimes missed. Your reviews and your reputations actually lives on someone else's property. So when you're getting lots of reviews yourself and you're building off that doesn't necessarily translate into a platform's page. It's subject to their algorithm, their placement, and the rules that they have in place to incentivize you to keep paying for visibility, even with good, strong ratings on those apps. And finally, you can't actually measure the lifetime value. So this one is definitely the most expensive long term. If you don't own the data, you can't actually calculate what a customer is actually worth to you over a significant period of time, which means you can't make decisions about how much to spend acquiring them or which customers to prioritize or segments to prioritize in your retainment strategy or your remarketing strategies. Here's a multiplier effect that makes this extremely expensive. So a customer is acquired once and is never converted to a direct relationship. It's no longer a one-time cost commission. It becomes a recurring commission cost every single time they come back for the entirety of the relationship they have with you, which could be years. Our industry data on customer retention consistently shows the same patterns, and across service businesses, that repeat customers are dramatically cheaper to serve and definitely more profitable than new ones, and largely because there's no acquisition cost to the second, 10th, or 20th order. Third-party platforms invert that. They definitely collapse their repeat and new customer economics into the same commission line, meaning you never actually get to benefit from the loyalty of the way that a business would with its own customer database. Industry data on customer retention also consistently shows this same pattern across service businesses, and hospitality is no exception. 70% of first-time diners never return to a venue, yet most venues spend 80% of their marketing on chasing new ones and those new diners. And the maths is never really added up, because the customers who come back are worth dramatically more, and the repeat visitor spend is 67% more on average, which means they're 60 to 70% more likely to buy again, and there's no cost to acquiring them as well. So effectively, to summarize, I guess the true cost equation, it's not just the commission rates times the order volume that's coming through, it's your commission rates times the order volume, but it's also compounded over the entire lifetime of the customer, where you never got the contact details. You also have to keep spending more on the platforms to keep reminding the same customer that you exist. And that's what we refer to as the invisible cost. So I'm going to take some time now to talk you through what changes when you actually flip that model. And this is my favorite part of the segment that we've called owning your own channel. What does owning your own channel actually mean? It's not about abandoning third-party platforms. It's just really about making sure every customer relationship has a path back to something that you control, and that's your channel. So owning your channel is providing direct information to contact you, to order from you, to book from you. And so we're going to talk about firstly those direct channels and how you can easily make changes that don't cost you anything so that a customer can keep transacting directly with you, where you keep the full margin, you keep the data, and you can control the complete experience. And one way to achieve this is through your Google My Business profile, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail shortly. The second thing is having a customer database. So a means to collect email, phone numbers, order history, and preferences all in a system that you own, that you have full visibility and control over, where it doesn't disappear if the platform changes its terms, conditions, or algorithm, and this becomes an asset. Commission savings are also great, but growing this customer list is the thing that's going to keep compounding in value every single year that you have it. Direct marketing that you control. So this is where you can email and SMS campaigns that cost you a lot less to send, so maybe a few cents per send versus 25 points per every order. So if you have a slow Tuesday, you can use those channels to make it a full Tuesday or fill up some of those seats with one message to your customer database or list at a fraction of what you would pay a third-party platform for these same things. Loyalty and retention, that belongs to you. So how do we grow and how can you grow reviews, ratings, and referral programs that create better treatment for regulars and live in an infrastructure that you own, so you can keep compounding and growing that, not on a platform's engagement metrics, but definitely on yours. And finally, as I said earlier, the Google My Business profile is a really simple and effective way to control what people see when they first their first contact or their first opportunity to learn more about you. This is something that you own and is definitely something that we help a lot of customers with. And that's the Google My Business profile optimization. So one thing worth flagging is, as I said earlier, it's one of the highest leverage and lowest cost assets that you have today without building anything else. It's completely free. It's the first thing customers see when before they've chosen any platform, usually if they're using a Google search or any other just search and discovery things, and you get to control what it sends people and what they see. So getting it right does drive the right discovery, return visits, and increasingly it's a critical factor in how AI search is engaging with platforms like ChatGPT in terms of recommending venues, and that's what we call AEO. We've actually got a really strong session on this to deep dive into it. Our team is always on standby if anybody needs any help with Google My Business optimization, but there's quite a bit of detail in how to get this right, and it's not as hard as you think. So we're going to reserve that for the session coming up. The good news is we can do a lot of these things for you. So both HungryHungry and Moby have tools to help you capture database, run SMS campaigns, and shift delivery volume off aggregators and the commissions that come with aggregators. And as a result, venues are seeing significant savings and significant upside. So we have a session on this as well with Charity and Shield coming up. We can share those in our channel afterwards. And yeah, looking forward to going a bit deeper into that one. So I think one thing I wanted to address is, I'm sure all of you are thinking, yeah, Narelle, this is great, but my customers like delivery and we have way more delivery orders than anything else, and I don't have my own drivers, and Uber Eats is literally the only reason why I can have delivery at all. I've certainly heard that before, and I think that's completely fair, and the data does back you up. Online food ordering has grown significantly, 300 times faster than dine-in since the early 2000s, and nearly 3/4 of the restaurant traffic today is happening off premises. So delivery is a huge part of that. It's what we consider the new baseline. And if 67% of consumers say they prefer to order direct through a restaurant, the demand for delivery is real if you can get the delivery component right and solve for the driver network component. Well, we've got something for you on that as well. So it's what we call white label delivery. And this is what Moby white label delivery does. We effectively solve this problem so we could give people the tools that they need to win back their customers without having to trade off the ability to offer delivery without a driver network. So the flow, or I suppose how it works, is instead of a customer placing an order, a delivery order through a marketplace app where you pay those heavy fees, never see the details, you get to have those orders placed on your branded website or app. So all they will see is your brand, your ordering flow, and Moby will handle the last mile logistics behind the scenes with a third-party driver network that you nominate. You still get the full delivery fulfilled with their driver fleet, but without having to have your own. But the order what you pay and the relationship and how the experience works is solely managed by you. This is pretty game changing. This is something that people have seen significant savings and upside with, and it's something I'm definitely very passionate about. So I'll get into the details on that shortly. So what does that mean in reality? It's the same convenience for people that want delivery, want it fast, without all the extra commission stacked on top. And most critically, it becomes a customer record or customer data that you acquire that's yours instead of an anonymous transaction listing in a marketplace. So let's put some numbers on it. My favorite part. We have one of our pizza franchises running while able delivery that has reported saving over $240,000 a year in aggregator fees. And I mean, that's a pretty astounding number. So I just want to say it again. It's $240,000 in a year in savings. And that number is not even the most important number that I want to focus on today. The bigger asset growth or opportunity is actually in the 18% increase in the size of their database, meaning they can remarket to all of those customers again, and they have 18% more of them by making this change. They didn't run any campaigns, they didn't hire anybody, they just changed the channel the order came through by using these tactics that we've talked about today, and just creating an ordering link to order for delivery. That's theirs, powered by white label delivery in the Mobi platform. This is a pretty game-changing thing. So I think I speak for many operators, and as a small business owner, any money that can be saved in the pocket to be redistributed for retention of customers or to upscale the experience for everything the venue can do is pretty life-changing. And all that's changed is the order link that is promoted in where a person can reach the venue to place an order for the same convenience delivery that they expect. We still had the drivers show up, the customer got exactly what they expected, and the orders landed with you instead. So we're going to go back to the $60,000 per month example and recalculate what that looks like. So if, let's say, only a third of that was to transfer to a direct channel over time and 2/3 still stayed where they were, you would be paying a much lower single-digit percentage for the cost of those transactions, as opposed to upwards of 25% in marketplace fees, and even that calculates to thousands of dollars a year in annual savings. And that's expecting that only a small portion of those orders can be redirected to a new channel. So I want to underline, though, that the biggest number isn't actually the fee savings. It's the customer list, and this takes a bit more time, but it's the growing asset that keeps you able to retain customers at a much lower cost and continue to remarket to those at a much lower cost. And this one is worth building deliberately because it becomes your most powerful asset with repeat customer ordering, and also with the ability to grow average order value within the customer base as well. I do want to be really direct about something else that I know a lot of people are also probably thinking right now is, but don't platforms still bring us new customers that we wouldn't ultimately get if they weren't discovering us directly? And that's completely true. And that's why the answer isn't to just cancel every platform. It's a very deliberate strategy, and it's two-tiered, and that is to use third-party delivery platforms for what they're good at. That's discovery. So being able to get new customer acquisition, especially in a new market, or if you're opening up a new location where the platform's audience is really doing a lot of the work for you. And the second part of that is to use your channel for what it's really good at, and that's retention. Every customer who's ordered from you once should have a clear path to come back directly next time, whether it's a follow-up email, campaign, or SMS, and order direct and save incentive, a loyalty program, whatever it might be. All of these things can be very easily set up, and directing customers back to come back directly to you each time they order again. And over time, this ratio does shift. So whilst the new customers do enter through the platforms, loyal customers do migrate to direct. And the venues that we work with that see the strongest results aren't the ones that quit things cold. They're just trying to build a genuinely better experience, give customers options, and give them a reason to prefer returning to them after their first visit. So let's bring it back to where we all started, or where we started, and that's the invoice number, which was never really the whole story. It shows you the cost of the third-party platform, it breaks it down by commission, fees, every future order that a customer you never got the chance to really know directly or bring back to you. And owning your own channel doesn't mean walking away from those platforms. It's just making sure that you are in every customer relationship, you are building a path back for someone to come back to you and a channel that belongs to you, so that it's your data, your margins, and your asset that you're able to leverage in the future with those customers. The venues that get ahead of this over this next year are the ones who are making dramatic exits from third-party platforms or platforms. They're the ones that are just measuring the numbers and starting to build the right habits to bring customers back. And I think if you did one thing today as a result of today's session, it's definitely making and optimizing your Google My Business profile. And I'd like to offer a gift today after today's session. You will be receiving a little cheat sheet on how you can optimize your Google My Business profile. That'll come through to your inbox after the session. Please take the time to do that. It is really simple, and our team will be happy to help you if you're challenged at all. But this is free, and it's the stepping stones to taking control back and optimizing the channels that people have access to when they first discover who you are, and it becomes your asset. So I want to finish off by telling you about next week's session, which is with Scott. He'll be tackling the labor being your biggest unsolved problem. I highly recommend you joining that session. Please don't miss it. And that's everything I've got today for the formal part. I'd love to open it up for questions. And if you want to work through your numbers together, please use the call to actions we're going to send after the call, or download the info with the calculator that we've got. And I just want to thank you for listening to me today.